How are you guys doing? Today is Wednesday, December 21st, 2022. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I am going to review yesterday's Elite matchups and performances from Tuesday, December 20th, and I am going to preview what's going on today as we navigate sport by sport. Taking a quick step back, we're still in the midst of college bowl season through the end of the year, as there were 2 bowl games yesterday and there's one today. Taking a look at what's going on with college basketball, there were a lot of college basketball games, at least from ranked opponents, as there were no ranked games that were played on Monday. Taking a look at what's going on at the professional level, the NFL Week 16 is looking to resume tomorrow as the NHL and NBA are getting underway as well. And in terms of soccer, we are slowly returning to clubs coming back from the World Cup, as Argentina is, of course, still celebrating their asses off. But of course, looking at what would happen yesterday in the college football playoff, there were 2 bowl games that would take place. Looking first at the famous Idaho Potato Bowl, Eastern Michigan would face off against San Jose State, as both teams were unranked. Eastern Michigan would outscore San Jose State 30-13 in the first half, as San Jose State outscored Eastern Michigan 14-11 in the second half. Eastern Michigan would walk away with a 41-27 win. On the losing end of this matchup, the San Jose Spartans were led out by their junior quarterback from Honolulu, Hawaii, Chavon Cordero. He would throw for 366 yards as he threw 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. He would rush for 50 yards and another touchdown there, as he had 416 total yards of offense with 4 touchdowns. San Jose State's leading rusher would be Kyrie Robinson. Their senior from Antioch, California, would finish with 56 rushing yards. He would have 17 receiving yards through the air, which would give him 83 total. San Jose State's leading receiver was Isaiah Hamilton. Their senior wide receiver from Baldwin Park, California, would have 5 receptions for 137 yards, as he had a receiving touchdown. Their second leading receiver was Elijah Cooks. He had 6 receptions for 93 yards. San Jose State's leading tackler on the defensive end was Jordan Pollard. Their freshman linebacker from LA would finish with 11 total tackles, as he had half of the tackle for loss. The only player on the team that would log an interception would be Michael Dansby, and the team would combine for 3 sacks as well. On the winning end of this matchup, the Eastern Michigan Eagles would be led out by their starting quarterback, Taylor Powell. Their senior quarterback from Fayetteville, Arkansas, would end up throwing for 298 yards. He threw 2 touchdowns and a pick. Their leading rusher would be Samson Evans. Their senior running back from Crystal Lake, Illinois, would finish with 82 rushing yards off of 25 carries. He had 2 rushing touchdowns. He had a 10-yard reception through the air, giving him 92 total yards of offense. Eastern Michigan's second leading rusher would be their junior out of Burleson, Texas, Jalen Jackson. He would go on and finish with 7 carries, as he had 54 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown. Eastern Michigan's leading receiver would be Darius Lassiter. Their junior receiver from Chandler, Arkansas, would finish with 6 receptions for 108 yards. He had both of the team's receiving touchdowns. Dylan Drummond would finish with 3 receptions for 85 yards. On the defensive side of the ball, Eastern Michigan would be led in tackles by Kempton Shine, Joe Sparacio, and Peyton Price. They each would finish with 5 tackles. Peyton Price would finish with 2 tackles and one of the team's 2 sacks. The team's 3 interceptions would go to Russell Vaden IV, Luke Cameron, and Joshua Scott. With this win, the Eastern Michigan Eagles will finish their season with a 9-4 record, after they would finish with a 5-3 record in the Mid-American Conference, tied with Buffalo, Bowling Green, and Toledo for the second best, behind Ohio. With this loss, the unranked San Jose State Spartans will finish their season with a 7-5 record, after having finished with a 5-3 record in the Mountain West, tied with San Jose State, Wyoming, and Utah State, as well as Air Force, for what will be the third best record in the conference. Taking a look at the other bowl game that was played yesterday, in the Boca Raton Bowl that would be sponsored by roofclaim.com, unranked Toledo would end up beating unranked Liberty, as Liberty would throw a 67-yard touchdown pass with about 3 minutes left. However, the 2-point conversion would fail. On the losing end of this particular matchup, the Liberty Flames were led in passing yards by Caden Salter. Their freshman quarterback from Cedar Hill, Texas, would throw for 84 yards as he threw a touchdown. CJ Daniels was their other quarterback for their last drive. He completed his only pass for 67 yards. Their sophomore from Lilburn, Georgia, would also, like I said, he would put them in the game, but at the same time, they would not convert the 2-point conversion. Liberty's leading rusher would be Caden Salter. Their quarterback, as with his 63 yards on the ground, he would combine for 147 total yards of offense. Toledo's leading receiver would be Bentley Hanshaw. Their junior tight end from Moore Park, California, would finish with 2 receptions. He had 73 receiving yards, and he would have a receiving touchdown. Liberty's defense would be led in tackles by Mike Smith Jr. Their junior from Flora, Mississippi, would finish with 16 total tackles. He had 2 tackles for loss and half of a sack. Akil Washington, Liberty sophomore from Marietta, Georgia, would finish with a sack and a half, as he had 7 total tackles on the day, 1.5 tackles for loss as well. On the winning end of this matchup, Toledo would be led out in passing by Daquan Finn. Their sophomore quarterback from Detroit, Michigan, would end up throwing for 133 yards as he threw a touchdown. Toledo's leading rusher would be Jaquez Stewart. Their sophomore from Miami would finish with a total of 111 rushing yards off of 23 carries. Toledo's leading tackler on the defensive side would be Maxon Hook. Their sophomore from New Palestine, Indiana, would finish with 8 total tackles for the team. Toledo would combine for 2 sacks and no interceptions. However, with this win, the Toledo Rockets would finish their 2022 season with a 9-5 record, after they would go on and win the MAC championship over Ohio after they finished with a worse record than Ohio in the conference schedule. So that is how Toledo would finish their year. With this loss, unranked Liberty would finish with an 8-5 record, as of course they are independents. Taking a look at what's going on today, the only bowl that is going to be taking place today on a Wednesday will be the R&L Carriers New Orleans Bowl, as 10-2 South Alabama is going to face off against 8-5 unranked Western Kentucky at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on ESPN, as it's going to be in the Superdome in New Orleans. Now looking at what's going on with college basketball, the highest ranked men's basketball team that would play yesterday would be the 2nd ranked UConn Huskies. Still remaining undefeated, they would beat unranked Georgetown at home 84-73. They would win this game by 11 after they outscored Georgetown by 7 in the first half. On the winning end of this matchup, 2nd ranked UConn would be led in scoring by their starting guard in this game, Tristan Newton. Their senior from El Paso, Texas, would finish with 17 points on the day, as well as 7 assists in 27 minutes. He would go on and shoot 4 for 6 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3, as he made 7 of his 8 free throw attempts on the night. With this win, 2nd-ranked UConn is holding on to a 13-0 record. They are now 2-0 in their conference right now, tied with Providence and Xavier as of right now for the best record in the Big East. With this loss, unranked Georgetown is 5-8. Their 0-2 Big East record ties them with Seton Hall for the worst record in the entire conference. Of course, taking a look at what would happen with the 5th-ranked team in America, the Arizona Wildcats would host the unranked Montana State Bobcats. Arizona would beat Montana State 85-64 at home to remain undefeated in their stadium. They would win this game by 21 after outscoring Montana State by 14 in the second half. On the winning end, 5th-ranked Arizona would be led in scoring by their starting guard, Kurt Kriisa, their junior out of Estonia. He would finish with 18 points and 2 steals in 34 minutes, shooting 6 for 10 from the field. All of his makes came from 3, so he was 6 for 9 from 3. Arizona starting center, Umar Ballo, had 11 points and 10 rebounds, as well as 2 steals and 2 blocks in 32 minutes. He shot 4 for 7 from the field and 3 for 5 from the free throw line. With this win, the 5th-ranked Arizona Wildcats are holding on to an 11-1 record, and with this loss, unranked Montana State is holding on to a 7-6 record so far this year. Looking at the 6th-ranked team in the nation, the Virginia Cavaliers would go to Miami to face off against the 22nd-ranked Miami Hurricanes. Miami would beat Virginia by 2 at home. They won it 66-64 after they outscored Virginia by 10 in the first half. On the losing end, 6th-ranked Virginia would be led in scoring by their forward off the bench, Ben Vander Plas. He would finish with 20 points in 27 minutes, shooting 7 for 13 from the field, 4 for 9 from 3. He would shoot 2 for 3 from the free throw line. On the winning end of this matchup, the 22nd-ranked Miami Hurricanes would be led in scoring by their starting guard, Isaiah Wong. Their junior from Piscataway, New Jersey, would finish with 24 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists in 37 minutes. He would shoot 7 for 13 from the field, 2 for 3 from 3, and he would shoot 8 for 9 from the free throw line. With this win, 22nd-ranked Miami is 12-1. Their 3-0 ACC record right now is the best record in their conference, as they are one of 4 teams still undefeated in conference play. With this loss, 6th-ranked Virginia is now 8-2. They are now 1-1 in the ACC, tied with Duke, Wake Forest, North Carolina, Syracuse, and Florida State for what is now the 5th best record in their conference as things currently stand. Taking a look at what would happen with the 9th-ranked team in the nation, the Alabama Crimson Tide would host unranked Jackson State, and they would beat the Tigers 84-64. They won this game by 20 at home after outscoring the Tigers by 19 in the second half. On the winning end of this matchup, 9th-ranked Alabama would be led in scoring by their starting forward, Noah Gurley. Their senior out of Fayetteville, Georgia, would finish with 16 points for the Crimson Tide. He also had 5 rebounds and 2 blocks in the 20 minutes he played. He would shoot 7 for 13 from the field. He would make his only free throw attempt as well. Their starting forward, Brandon Miller, would finish with 10 points, 14 rebounds, 3 steals, and 5 turnovers in 35 minutes. He would shoot 3 for 7 from the field and 3 for 4 from the free throw line. With this win, the 9th-ranked Alabama Crimson Tide are 10-2 to start their season, as right now, unranked Jackson State is 1-11 following this loss. Looking at the 11th-ranked team in the nation, the Gonzaga Bulldogs would host the unranked Montana Grizzlies. Gonzaga would beat Montana by 10 at home. They won it 85-75 after outscoring the Grizzlies by 8 in the first half. On the winning end, 11th-ranked Gonzaga would be led in scoring by their starting forward out of Richardson, Texas, Drew Timme. Their senior would finish with 32 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists, as well as 2 steals and 2 blocks in 37 minutes. Timme shot 12 for 16 from the field on the day and 8 for 13 from the foul line. Gonzaga's starting guard, Julian Strawther, would have 15 points and 10 rebounds in 38 minutes, shooting 4 for 5 from the field. He would make both of his 3-point attempts as he shot a perfect 5 for 5 from 3. With this win, the 11th-ranked Gonzaga Bulldogs are 10-3 so far this year. With this loss, unranked Montana is 6-6. Jumping out to Waco, Texas, the 12th-ranked Baylor Bears would host the unranked Northwestern State Demons. Baylor would beat Northwestern State by 10 at home after outscoring the Demons by 8 in the second half. On the winning end, the Baylor Bears would be led in scoring by their starting forward, Jalen Bridges. Their junior from Fairmont, West Virginia, would finish with 13 points, as well as 7 rebounds in 27 minutes. He would shoot 5 for 8 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3, and he would make one of his 2 free throws. With this win, 12th-ranked Baylor is now 9-2, and now following this loss, Northwestern State is 8-4 this year. Looking at my 14th-ranked Duke Blue Devils, they would go to Winston-Salem to face off against the unranked Wake Forest Demon Deacons. Wake Forest would give Duke their first ACC loss of the year, as Wake Forest won this game 81-70 in front of their hometown fans. They won this game by 11 after outscoring Duke by 9 in the first half. On the losing end, 14th-ranked Duke would be led in scoring by their guard off the bench, Jalen Blakes. He had 17 points and 3 steals as he fouled out in 26 minutes. He would shoot 6 for 7 from the field, 3 for 4 from 3, and he would make both of his free throws for Duke. On the winning end of this matchup, unranked Wake Forest would be led in scoring by their senior guard out of Jacksonville, Arkansas, Tyree Appleby. Tyree Appleby would finish with 18 points and 8 assists, as well as 8 turnovers in 38 minutes. He would shoot 2 for 8 from the field, and he would go on and shoot 13 for 14 from the free throw line. With this win, unranked Wake Forest is now 9-4. Their 1-1 ACC record currently ties them with Virginia, Duke, North Carolina, Syracuse, and Florida State for the 5th best record in the ACC. Holding that same conference record, 14th ranked Duke is holding on to a 10-3 record with this loss. Looking at the 15th ranked team of the nation, Mississippi State would face off against unranked Drake in the Battle of the Vault, as Mississippi State would enter this game undefeated. Drake would beat Mississippi State 58-52, as they would outscore Mississippi State by 14 in the second half to take full advantage of this game. On the losing end of this matchup, 15th ranked Mississippi State would be led in scoring by their starting guard, Eric Reed Jr. He had 11 points in 35 minutes. He would shoot 4 for 11 from the field and 3 for 7 from 3. On the winning end of this matchup, unranked Drake would be led in scoring by their starting guard, Roman Penn. Their senior guard from Calumet City, Illinois, would finish with 19 points and 2 steals in 30 minutes. He would shoot 7 for 12 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3. He would make all 4 of his free throw attempts. With this win, unranked Drake has started their season with a 9-3 record now. And with this loss, having suffered their first loss of the year, 15th ranked Mississippi State is now 11-1. Looking at what would happen in Bloomington, the 18th ranked Indiana Hoosiers would host the unranked Elon Phoenix. Indiana would beat Elon 96-72 at home. They won this game by 24 after they would outscore Elon by 18 in the first half. On the winning end of this matchup, the 18th ranked Hoosiers would be led in scoring by their starting forward, Race Thompson. Their senior from Plymouth, Minnesota, would finish with 18 points for the 18th ranked team, as he also had 11 rebounds and 4 blocks in 30 minutes. He shot 9 for 13 from the field on the day. And with this win, 18th ranked Indiana is starting their season with a 9-3 record. With this loss, Elon is now 2-11 this year. Last but not least, the lowest ranked team that would play yesterday would be the 24th ranked Marquette Golden Eagles. They would face off against unranked Providence, as this was a conference game. In a game that would go to double overtime, unranked Providence would beat Marquette 103-98 after they would outscore Marquette 25-20 in both of those overtime periods, as it was pretty close between both teams the entire game. On the losing end, the visiting 24th ranked Marquette Golden Eagles were led in scoring by their starting guard, Tyler Kolek. He had 29 points, 5 rebounds, 5 steals, and 6 turnovers as he fouled out in 41 minutes. He would shoot 11 for 15 from the field. He made his only 3-point attempt as he shot 6 for 8 from the free throw line. Marquette starting guard, Cam Jones, had 24 points and 3 steals in 44 minutes. He would end up shooting 10 for 22 from the field. He would end up shooting 3 for 10 from 3 and 1 for 2 from the foul line. On the winning end, unranked Providence would be led in scoring by their starting forward, Bryce Hopkins. Providence's sophomore forward out of Oak Park, Illinois, would finish with 29 points, 23 rebounds, 2 assists and 3 steals in 47 minutes. He shot 8 for 14 from the field and 13 for 18 from the foul line. Providence's starting forward, Ed Croswell, he had 20 points and 3 blocks in 40 minutes. He would shoot 7 for 10 from the field and 6 for 9 from the free throw line. Providence's starting guard, Devin Carter, would finish with 20 points and 3 steals in 42 minutes. He shot 5 for 12 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3, and he would shoot 8 for 12 from the free throw line. With this win, unranked Providence is now 10-3. Their 2-0 Big East record ties them with UConn and Xavier for the best record in the conference. And with this loss, 24th ranked Marquette is now 9-4. Their 1-1 record places them in 5th place in the entire Big East as things currently stand, as there are even teams in their conference that have not played conference games. Transitioning into what's going on today with college basketball amongst ranked opponents. At 5 o'clock on the Pac-12 Network, 13th ranked UCLA is going to host unranked UC Davis in the Pauley Pavilion. At 6, 8th ranked Tennessee is going to host unranked Austin Peay. At 6:30, 21st ranked Virginia Tech is going to face off against unranked Boston College in Massachusetts. At 7 o'clock, 19th ranked Kentucky is going to host unranked Florida A&M. At 8 o'clock, 3rd ranked Houston is going to host unranked McNeese. At 8 o'clock on Longhorn Network, 7th ranked Texas is going to host unranked Louisiana, as in the Ragin' Cajuns. At 9 o'clock on ESPNU, the top ranked Purdue Boilermakers are set to host the University of New Orleans. At the same time, 10th ranked Arkansas is going to host UNC Asheville, and 20th ranked TCU is going to go face off against unranked Utah, and 23rd ranked Auburn is going to travel all the way across the country to Seattle to face off against unranked Washington. At 10 o'clock on CBS Sports Network, 25th ranked Arizona State is going to go to San Francisco to face off against the unranked Dons. So that's where we are with college sports. Segueing to professional, looking first at what would happen yesterday in the NHL between the two top teams in the Metropolitan Division. The Carolina Hurricanes would host the New Jersey Devils. Both teams would come into this matchup at the very top of their division in terms of points. However, in this matchup, the Hurricanes would beat the Devils 4-1 after Carolina would score the first 3 goals of this game. The top star of this game would be Carolina's goalie from Russia, Pyotr Kochetkov. He would go on and finish with 37 saves, as he did allow 1 to New Jersey. The second star would go to Carolina's defender, Jacob Slavin, as he would finish with a couple of assists. With this win at home, the Carolina Hurricanes are 26-6. Their 46 points in 32 games is now the best record in the Metropolitan Division. They sit 2 points ahead of the second-place Devils for right now. In the East, they are tied with the Maple Leafs for the second-best record overall, as they currently sit 6 points behind the Eastern Conference leading Bruins. With this win, the Carolina Hurricanes are on a 6-game winning streak. Their 6-game winning streak is currently the longest active winning streak in the Eastern Conference as of right now. And taking a look at how it compares with the Western Conference, it is just 1 win streak longer than the Minnesota Wild, who have the longest active winning streak out west. Alongside their 6-game winning streak, the Hurricanes have won 9 of their last 10 games, and that 1 loss would come in overtime, so it still got them a win. Taking a look now at where the New Jersey Devils are with this loss, they are now 21-9-2. They're 44 points through 32 games, the second best record in the Metropolitan Division. They sit 2 points behind the division-leading Carolina Hurricanes. New Jersey's 6-game losing streak is the longest active losing streak in the East, tied with the Detroit Red Wings. The Chicago Blackhawks are the only team in the NHL with a longer active losing streak. But as of right now, with this loss, the Devils have lost 7 of their last 10 games to date. Jumping out to Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Flyers would host the Columbus Blue Jackets. The Blue Jackets would enter this game holding the worst record in the East. The Flyers would beat the Blue Jackets 5-3 at home. In this matchup, the Blue Jackets would take a 2-1 lead in the second before Philly would score 3 unanswered and put it out of reach. They would take the outright lead off of Owen Tippett's 9th goal of the season in the second period. The top star would be Philadelphia's right winger from London, Ontario, Travis Konechny. He would finish with 2 goals on the day. The second star went to Philly's defender, Cam York. With this win at home, the Philadelphia Flyers are holding on to an 11-15-7 record. Their 29 points in 33 games is the second worst record in the Metropolitan Division, sitting just ahead of the Blue Jackets that they just beat. They sit 17 points behind the division-leading Carolina Hurricanes, and with this win, they've won 3 of their last 10 games to date. With this loss, the Columbus Blue Jackets are 10-20-2. Right now, their 22 points in 32 games is the worst record in the Eastern Conference as a whole. The Chicago Blackhawks and the Anaheim Ducks are the 2 teams in the NHL with worse standings than the Blue Jackets. In the Blue Jackets division, they sit 24 points behind the division-leading Hurricanes, while they themselves only have 22 points. The Blue Jackets' 5-game losing streak is just short to the New Jersey Devils and the Detroit Red Wings for the longest active losing streak in the East. The Blue Jackets have lost 8 of their last 10 games to date. Taking a look at what would happen on the other side of Pennsylvania, the Pittsburgh Penguins would host the New York Rangers. The Penguins would end up beating the Rangers 3-2 at home after the Penguins would score 3 unanswered. The Rangers would score the first goal of the game, so the Penguins would take the outright lead off of Brian Rust's 8th goal of the season off of a power play right before the end of the second period. The top star would go to Pittsburgh's future Hall of Famer out of Cole Harbour, Canada, Sidney Crosby. He would finish with a goal and an assist. Chris Kreider, New York's left winger out of Boxford, Massachusetts, would get the second star of the game as he would finish with 2 goals. With this win at home, the Pittsburgh Penguins are now 19-9-4. Their 42 points in 32 games is now the third best record in the Metropolitan Division, not to mention that they ended the longest active winning streak in hockey up until yesterday. The Penguins have now won 8 of their last 10 games to date. With this loss, the New York Rangers are now 18-11-5. Their 41 points in 34 games is the 4th best record in the Metropolitan Division. The Rangers sit 5 points behind the division-leading Hurricanes, as the Rangers have lost 3 of their last 10 games. Taking a look at what would happen in Toronto, the Maple Leafs would host the defending back-to-back Eastern Conference champs, Tampa Bay Lightning. The Leafs would beat the Lightning 4-1 at home. They would score the first 2 goals and the last 2 goals of this game to, of course, enforce that win. The top star would go to Toronto's left wing out of Ontario, Michael Bunting. He would finish with a goal. Toronto's goalie, Matt Murray, out of Thunder Bay, Ontario, would be the third star of the game. He would allow 1 goal from Tampa as he finished with 8 saves. With this win at home, the Toronto Maple Leafs are holding on to a 27-6 record, as in 20 wins, 7 draws, and 6 overtime losses. Toronto's 46 points in 33 games is the second best record in the Atlantic Division, and they are currently tied with the Metropolitan Division leading Carolina Hurricanes for the second best record in the East outright. Right now, the Maple Leafs have won 7 of their last 10 games to date, and with this loss, the Tampa Bay Lightning are 20-10-1. So far, their 41 points in 31 games is the third best record in the Atlantic Division. They currently sit 11 points behind the division-leading Bruins, as the Lightning have lost 3 of their last 10 games as well, alongside the Maple Leafs. Taking a look at what would happen in Winnipeg, still in Canada, the Jets would host the Ottawa Senators. They would end up winning this game 5-1 at home, as there were no goals scored in the third. Winnipeg would score the first 2 and the last 3 goals of the game to show that they had full control of it. The top star would go to Winnipeg's defender out of Calgary, Josh Morrissey. He would finish with a goal and an assist. Winnipeg's left winger, Kyle Connor, out of Clinton, Michigan, would finish with 2 goals and an assist. He would get the second star. The third star would go to Winnipeg's goalie, David Rittich, out of the Czech Republic, formerly Czechoslovakia. He would finish with 35 saves, as he did allow 1 goal to Ottawa. With this win at home, the Winnipeg Jets are now holding on to a 21-10-1 record. Their 43 points in 32 games is the second best record in the Central Division. They sit just 1 point behind the division-leading Dallas Stars, and the Jets have won 7 of their last 10 games. With this loss, the Ottawa Senators are 14-6-2. Right now, the Senators' 30 points in 32 games is the worst record in the Atlantic Division and the third worst record in the East. They sit 22 points behind the division-leading Bruins. The Senators are on a 2-game losing streak, and they've lost 4 of their last 10 games. Jumping out to Seattle, the Kraken would host the St. Louis Blues. Seattle would end up beating St. Louis 5-2 thanks to a 3-goal third period, as the top star of this game would go to Seattle's defender from Viking, Alberta, Carson Soucy. He would finish with just a goal. Seattle's center, Morgan Geekie, would finish with 2 assists. And with this win at home, the Seattle Kraken are now 18-10-3. Their 39 points in 31 games is the third best record in the Pacific Division. They currently sit 6 points behind the division-leading Golden Knights. The Kraken have won their last 2 games, and they've won 5 of their last 10 games to date. With this loss, the St. Louis Blues are 16-16-1. Their 33 points in 33 games is the 5th best record in the Central Division. They sit 11 points behind the division-leading Dallas Stars, as with this loss, they've lost 5 of their last 10 games to date. Taking a look at what would happen in the Los Angeles Derby, the LA Kings would host the Anaheim Ducks. In this matchup, the Kings would beat the Ducks at home 4-1, as the Ducks didn't have to go that far to go back home. After the Ducks would tie it up at 1, the Kings would score 3 unanswered, starting with the end of the second period, with a goal from Alex Iafallo to take the outright lead and go on and win this game. The top star of this game would be LA's defender out of London, Ontario, Drew Doughty. He would finish with 1 goal on the day, as with this win at home, the Los Angeles Kings are holding on to a record of 18-12-5. So far, their 41 points in 35 games is the second best record in the Pacific Division. They sit 4 points behind the division-leading Vegas Golden Knights, as the Kings are on a 3-game winning streak. They've won 6 of their last 10 games to date. So far, the Minnesota Wild are the only team in the West with a longer active winning streak than LA so far. Taking a look at where Anaheim is, they are now 9-21-3. With their 21 points in 33 games, they hold the worst record in the Pacific Division. Only the Chicago Blackhawks hold a worse record in the Western Conference. The Ducks are sitting 24 points behind the division-leading Vegas Golden Knights, as with this loss, Anaheim has lost 7 of their last 10 games. Last but not least, in the NHL, the San Jose Sharks would host the Calgary Flames up in the Bay Area, and the Flames would beat the Sharks 7-3. The Sharks would tie it up at 3 in the third period before Calgary would score 4 unanswered in the period to run away with it. Calgary center Elias Lindholm out of Sweden would be the top star, as he would have a trio of assists. The second star would go to Timo Meier for San Jose, as he would finish with a goal and an assist. And Calgary center Nazem Kadri would finish with a couple of goals, earning the third star. With this win on the road, the Calgary Flames are now 15-12-6. Their 36 points in 33 games ties them with the Edmonton Oilers for the 4th best record in the Pacific Division. They are sitting 9 points behind the division-leading Knights, as they're currently on a 2-game winning streak. They've won 5 of their last 10 games to date. So that is what the NHL is looking like. And of course, looking at what's going on today. Today is Wednesday, so the primetime games are going to be on TNT. At 7 o'clock, the New Jersey Devils, who are sitting second in the Metropolitan, are going to face off against the Florida Panthers in Sunrise. The Panthers are holding on to the 4th best record in the Atlantic Division, as they're currently tied with the Buffalo Sabres. On TNT, at 9:30, the Central Division leading Dallas Stars are set to host the Edmonton Oilers, who have the 4th best record in the Pacific Division, tied with the Calgary Flames. Outside of the primetime games at 7 o'clock, Detroit is going to host the Tampa Bay Lightning. At 8 o'clock, the defending Stanley Cup champs Colorado Avalanche are going to host the Montreal Canadiens. At 8:30, the Chicago Blackhawks, who are holding on to a 7-game losing streak and the worst record in hockey, are set to host the Nashville Predators. From their division, at 10 o'clock, the Anaheim Ducks are going to host the Minnesota Wild, who have the longest active winning streak in the West. And the Vegas Golden Knights, who have the best record in the West, are set to host the Arizona Coyotes. So that's the NHL. Segueing into the NBA, starting off in Detroit, the Pistons would host the Utah Jazz. Utah would end up beating Detroit 126-111. They won this game by 15 on the road, after they would outscore the Pistons by 9 in the third quarter, by 14 in the second half as a whole, essentially. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Pistons were led in scoring by their starting point guard and their rookie out of Purdue, Jaden Ivey. Ivey would finish with 30 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, and 5 turnovers in 33 minutes. He shot 10 for 14 from the field. He made both of his 3-pointers, and he shot 8 for 11 from the free throw line. Detroit's starting center, Jalen Duren, would finish with 15 points and 14 rebounds in 30 minutes. He would shoot 7 for 9 from the field, and he would go on and make his only free throw. On the winning end of this matchup, the visiting Utah Jazz would be led in scoring by their starting power forward, Lauri Markkanen. Markkanen had 38 points and 5 rebounds in 36 minutes. He would shoot 13 for 20 from the field, 9 for 13 from 3, and 3 for 4 from the foul line. Utah's starting power forward, Jared Vanderbilt, had 18 points, 13 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 steals in 32 minutes. He shot 7 for 13 from the field and 2 for 4 from 3. Utah's starting point guard, Jordan Clarkson, had 21 points and 6 assists in 30 minutes. He would shoot 7 for 15 from the field, 3 for 7 from 3, and he would shoot 4 for 6 from the free throw line. With this win on the road, the Utah Jazz are now 18-16. They are currently holding on to what is now the 8th best record in the West. They sit 3 games behind the Nuggets and the Grizzlies, who are currently on top of the conference. And with this win, the Jazz have won 5 of their last 10 games to date. With this loss, the Detroit Pistons are now 8-25. They currently hold the worst winning percentage in the NBA, the worst record, as they sit 15.5 games behind the Eastern Conference leading Milwaukee Bucks. The Pistons are on a 3-game losing streak at the moment, and as of right now, only the Toronto Raptors have a longer active losing streak in the East. The Pistons have lost 7 of their last 10 games. Jumping out to Miami, the Miami Heat would host the Chicago Bulls. The Bulls would end up beating the Heat 113-103 to knock the Heat back down to 500. The Bulls would end up beating the Heat by 10 after outscoring the Heat by 16 in the third quarter. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Miami Heat would be led in scoring by their starting center, Bam Adebayo. Adebayo had 27 points, 12 rebounds, and 6 assists in 37 minutes. He would shoot 12 for 15 from the field and 3 for 4 from 3. On the winning end of this matchup, the visiting Chicago Bulls would be led in scoring by their starting center, Nikola Vucevic. He finished with 29 points, 12 rebounds, and 2 assists in 37 minutes. He shot 13 for 17 from the field and 3 for 5 from 3. Chicago's small forward, DeMar DeRozan, had 24 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists in 40 minutes. He would shoot 9 for 14 from the field as he would make all 6 of his free throws. Chicago starting shooting guard Zach LaVine had 21 points, 6 rebounds, and 7 assists in 37 minutes. He would shoot 7 for 13 from the field, 3 for 8 from 3, and 4 for 5 from the free throw line. With this win on the road, the Chicago Bulls are now 12-18. As of right now, they hold the 5th worst record in the East as they sit 10 games behind the conference leading Bucks. The Bulls have won 3 of their last 10 games to date, and with this loss at home, the Miami Heat are now holding on to a 16-16 record. As of right now, they sit 7 games behind the conference leading Milwaukee Bucks. They've now lost 4 of their last 10 games to date. And of course, taking a look at what would happen in Madison Square Garden, the New York Knicks would host the defending champs, Golden State Warriors, as that was the arena where Stephen Curry would break the NBA's all-time three-point record. The Knicks would beat the Warriors 132-94 at home. They won it by 38 points after they would outscore the Warriors by 19 points in the fourth quarter, by 25 in the second half. They would outscore the Warriors virtually in every single quarter, as they also outscored them by 13 in the first half, and by 8 in the first quarter, and by 5 in the second. On the losing end of this matchup, the defending champs were led in scoring by their starting shooting guard out of Michigan, Jordan Poole. He had 26 points in 29 minutes. He shot 8 for 18 from the field. He would make 8 of his 9 free throws. The Warriors' elite starting shooting guard and future Hall of Famer, Klay Thompson, would finish with 11 points or 4 rebounds and 2 assists, as well as 5 turnovers in 26 minutes. Klay Thompson shot 5 for 12 from the field and 1 for 5 from 3. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown New York Knicks were led in scoring by their shooting guard off the bench, Immanuel Quickley out of Kentucky. Quickley would finish with 22 points in 23 minutes, as he also had 2 steals. He would shoot 6 for 10 from the field, 5 for 6 from 3, and he would shoot 5 for 5 from the free throw line. In New York starting lineup, their starting point guard, Jalen Brunson, would have 21 points and 5 assists in 30 minutes. He shot 7 for 16 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3, and 5 for 6 from the foul line. New York starting power forward, Julius Randle, had 15 points, 12 rebounds, and 5 assists in 30 minutes. Randle shot 5 for 12 from the field and 4 for 7 from the free throw line. With this win, the hometown New York Knicks are 18-13. They are holding on to the 6th best record in the East as they sit 4.5 games behind the conference leading Bucks. The Knicks 8-game winning streak is the longest active winning streak in the NBA. The second longest winning streak is held by the Nets at 6 games. The Knicks have won 8 of their last 10 games alongside their 8-game winning streak. And on the losing end of this matchup, the defending champs, Golden State Warriors, are now 15-17. They are holding on to the 5th worst record in the West. They sit 5 games behind the Nuggets and the Grizzlies, who sit on top of the conference. The Warriors have lost 6 of their last 10 games to date. Jumping out to the desert, the Phoenix Suns would host the Washington Wizards. The Wizards came in with a 10-game losing streak, and they would end that losing streak with a 113-110 win in Phoenix. They would outscore the Suns by 8 in the second quarter. That was their best quarter. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Suns would be led in scoring by their shooting guard off the bench. Landry Shamet from Wichita State would finish with 31 points, 2 rebounds, and 5 assists in 35 minutes. Shamet shot 10 for 21 from the field, 9 for 16 from 3, and he would make both of his free throws on the night. Phoenix's starting center, DeAndre Ayton, had 30 points, 13 rebounds, and 4 turnovers as he nearly fouled out in 32 minutes. Ayton would shoot 12 for 20 from the field as he made all 6 of his free throw attempts. Phoenix's future Hall of Fame elite starting point guard, Chris Paul, would finish with 12 points, 4 rebounds, 11 assists, and 2 steals in 36 minutes. CP3 would shoot 3 for 11 from the field, 1 for 3 from 3, and 5 for 7 from the free throw line. On the winning end of this matchup, the visiting Wizards would be led in scoring by their starting small forward, Kyle Kuzma. Kuzma had 29 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 steals in 37 minutes. He would shoot 10 for 19 from the field, 5 for 10 from 3, and 4 for 6 from the foul line. Washington's elite starting shooting guard, Bradley Beal, had 27 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists in 35 minutes. Beal would shoot 8 for 20 from the field and 11 for 14 from the free throw line. Washington's starting small forward, Denny Avdija, would finish with 16 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 assists in 36 minutes. He shot 4 for 8 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3, and he would make all 6 of his free throws. With this win on the road, the Washington Wizards are 12-20. They currently hold the 4th worst record in the East as they sit 11 games behind the conference-leading Bucks. They've won 1 of their last 11 games following their 10-game losing streak, and with this loss, the Phoenix Suns are now 19-13. They hold the 4th best record in the West win percentage-wise as they sit 1 game behind the Nuggets and the Grizzlies. They have the same amount of wins, they just have 2 more losses. That's the difference. The Suns have lost 6 of their last 10 games to date with this one. Last but not least, going to the Mile High City, the Denver Nuggets would host the Memphis Grizzlies and pull away with a 105-91 win. They won by 14 at home after outscoring the Grizzlies by 21 in the first quarter. On the losing end of this matchup, the visiting Grizzlies were led in scoring by their elite starting point guard, Ja Morant, out of Murray State. He would finish with 35 points and 10 assists as well as 7 turnovers in 38 minutes. He would shoot 12 for 26 from the field, 3 for 6 from 3, and 8 for 10 from the free throw line. And on the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Denver Nuggets were led in scoring by their starting power forward, Aaron Gordon. He had 24 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 steals in 28 minutes. He would go on and shoot 9 for 16 from the field, 1 for 12 from 3, and he would shoot 5 for 7 from the free throw line. The Nuggets' elite starting center, Nikola Jokic, would finish with a triple-double with all 13s, basically. He had 13 points, 13 rebounds, 13 assists, and a couple of steals in 37 minutes. He would shoot 6 for 12 from the field, and he made his only 3-pointer on the day. With this win at home, the Denver Nuggets are 19-11. They are tied with the Memphis Grizzlies for the best record in the Western Conference. In terms of the NBA, they are still sitting behind the Bucks, the Celtics, and the Cavs out east in terms of win percentage. However, in the West, they sit a full game ahead of the 3rd-place Pelicans and the 4th-place Suns. With this win, the Nuggets are on a 2-game winning streak, and they've won 6 of their last 10 games to date. With this loss, the Memphis Grizzlies are tied with them at 19-11. However, they're on a 2-game losing streak, and they've lost 3 of their last 10 games to date. This brings us to where we are now in the NBA. Because today is Wednesday, the primetime game is going to be on NBA TV, as there's going to be two of them actually. At 7:30, the 19-12 Brooklyn Nets, who hold the fourth best record in the East and who are on a 6-game winning streak, are going to host the defending champs Golden State Warriors, as of course KD and Steph get to reunite and of course play it out. The Warriors are holding on to the 5th worst record in the West. After that, on NBA TV, the 18-14 LA Clippers, who hold the 5th best record in the West, are set to host the Charlotte Hornets, who hold the 2nd worst record in the East. Outside the primetime games at 7 o'clock, the Cleveland Cavaliers are set to host the Milwaukee Bucks, who hold the best record in the NBA. At 7, the Sixers are going to host the Pistons, who hold the worst record in the NBA. At 7:30, the Atlanta Hawks are going to host the Chicago Bulls, as the Bulls look to bring the Hawks back down to 500. At 7:30, the 22-9 Boston Celtics are set to host the Indiana Pacers. At the same time, the New York Knicks, who hold an 8-game winning streak, are set to host the Toronto Raptors. At 8 o'clock, the Houston Rockets, who hold the worst record in the West, are going to host the Orlando Magic. At 8 o'clock, the Minnesota Timberwolves are going to host the Dallas Mavericks. At the same time, the Thunder are going to host the Trailblazers as well. At 10 o'clock, the Sacramento Kings are going to host the LA Lakers as they hope to light up the beam. But of course, that brings us to where we are now and taking a really quick look at what's going on with soccer in like the Carabao Cup. The biggest team to really play was Newcastle, as they were able to advance past AFC Bournemouth. And taking a look at what's going on today in the English Carabao Cup, Manchester United is set to face off against Burnley. As in the Spanish Copa del Rey, we are seeing teams like Real Sociedad and Sevilla get back in the mix as club soccer is slowly returning from the World Cup. I want to thank the ESPN, the NCAA, the NFL, NHL, and NBA sites. Even the FIFA sites are giving me all the facts and figures that I need. And of course, I want to thank everyone for listening. I hope all is well, and I will catch you with more tomorrow. Peace out.